This is an overview of Lesson 2.3 of Year 2. This is the third part of the second unit, which is all around the qualities of role models and the influence of role models on decision making. So this particular lesson is about giving and offering and receiving advice, and how that advice may align with the 3 E's of good work. Assessment involves monitoring participation during the activity below and analyzing exit tickets. Several different elements of CASEL alignment here. The portfolio documentation is the exit ticket, and then the resources is a handout that has several different dilemmas on it, which we'll get to in just a moment. The prerequisites are the first 2 lessons of this unit around role models. An optional refresher here is to remind the students of the previous lesson. Again, depending on how much time it's been since you had the previous lesson, good to remind them what you discussed about who is a positive mentor or someone they might emulate in life, who might be an anti-mentor. And then telling students during this class, they'll have a chance to step into the role of mentor themselves, and think about what it's like to give advice to others. So this lesson is all around one activity about giving advice. So you can hand out this particular handout to your students. It involves several different examples of dilemmas. So they're short. There will probably be, depending on the size of your class, there will be some repetition. 2 people may be handling the same dilemma, and that's okay. So these are just short descriptions of dilemmas that individuals are involved in, and we ask the students will take on the perspective of one of these dilemmas. I think there are 9 in total. So this is the handout. So ask each student to think about which of the 3 E's, excellence, ethics, or engagement, is at issue in the dilemma. And you can remind them that it may well be 2 elements or maybe all 3, depending. So the bulk of the class will be spent on this activity. So you've got 35 minutes for it. Divide the class into 2 groups, mentors and dilemma characters. So those who are seeking advice and those who are giving advice. Choose a few students to serve as mentors, and then we suggest putting them into 3 different groups, each representing one of the 3 E's, so that they'd be offering advice with specifics to excellence or ethics or engagement. And then put the mentor groups in different locations around the room. And then those who are not serving as mentors are going to take on the role of one of those individuals seeking advice. So they'll walk around and move from station to station asking advice, and they should be ideally hearing about advice that takes into account one of those 3 E's. Mentors are asked to give advice. What are the potential outcomes of this scenario, considering their particular perspective of excellence, ethics, or engagement? What do you think the individual should do? And then throughout the activity, switch roles so that the students have the opportunity to both give and receive advice, and then bring the class together at the end to discuss, ask them to think about the different advice they received, and how the varied perspectives changed and influenced their thinking. The exit ticket asks, what is some advice you received, that you have received regarding being a student or your future career, that you feel wasn't good advice? If you were advising someone in a similar situation, what advice would you give them? And then here is possible enrichment to ask students to continue the process of reflection and writing about the story they considered in class today. So maybe go a little bit deeper, ask them to consider how the advice addressed different issues, one of the 3 E's, how they felt this advice may or may not have solved the issues. So encouraging that kind of continued meta-reflection, not only reflecting about the activity and the advice itself, but what they may have learned about the process of reflection. So that is lesson 2.3.